This week on Conundrums, we'll be talking with Jose Escamilla. He's the producer of multiple UFO documentaries, including a new production that's coming out this spring called The Battle of Los Angeles. We'll have a sneak peek and never-before-seen scenes from that movie. It should be out in May. Be sure to like us on Facebook, bookmark our website, and join us each week for a new program on Conundrums. Jose Escamilla is up next. We're talking with Jose Escamilla. He's the director, producer of several UFO documentaries, the owner of TBLN Films. Jose is our guest today. Jose, you are coming to us from New Mexico?
No, I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, okay.
Yeah.
And
Mission.
you, did you live in Roswell, or have you lived in Roswell?
Yeah, that was my hometown. Roswell was my hometown. I grew up there.
Okay, tell me about growing up in Roswell.
Yeah, it was great. You know, when I was a kid there, we had UFO sightings there in Roswell and Midway all the time. I mean, there was a lot of activity back in the late 50s, early 60s. Mm-hmm. And so I had a rock and roll band that I was in. It's called the Jesters. We later changed the group to the Ye-Core Jesters. And I was 14 years old at that time. This was shortly after my father passed away. I started, the only thing I could do to help the family was playing a rock and roll band, which I loved, you know. And it was cool. And I grew up with all the kids, man, that their parents and grandparents were involved in the Roswell UFO crash. We used to go out to the two sites where there was two crashes, actually. Mm-hmm. There was one that's not really been publicized that much over at Pine Lodge. But, yeah, there was a lot of activity back in those days, too.
How did you get interested in doing videos? How did you get interested in making documentaries?
Well, my dad was, when I was a real young kid, when I was like 5 and 6, up until I was about 12 or 13, my dad and my mom, we have a ranch out there at Midway, which is 9 miles south of Roswell, mm-hmm. and we used to have an outdoor movie theater, okay. An outdoor walk-in theater where, all the ranchers would come in and they'd sit on these benches. It was like Cinema Paradiso. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw that film, but my dad used to rent films from Black Hawk Films, and we'd have movies, popcorn, the whole thing. And I was always interested in celluloid, making movies and things. My dad showed me how to shoot a commercial.
Oh, yeah?
I was like about 12, And I've always been interested in making films, but I took a real detour when the Beatles came out, and I did rock and roll, and that was it, because I could pick up chicks that way.
Yeah,
that was the thing, and I had my little groupies there in the 8th grade. The Rhythm Masters was my first band, but that's the way it started. I've always wanted to make films. It's just that like I said, I detracted and went into rock and roll for quite a few years. And in 1977, I moved here to San Diego, mm-hmm. and I was working as a night chef at Torrey Pines Inn. And I used to hang out at the university there in San Diego, across the street from Torrey Pines. I lived in Del Mar for a few years. And I'd go in and play the piano in some of the practice rooms for free. And I wrote a couple of songs. I was going to try to reunite the Beatles through a fan, writing songs for the Beatles to reunite. It was called I'm Asking You to Play Once More for Me. Mm-hmm. And it was to get the Beatles to, hey, we are your fans. We're asking you to play one more time for us. Then you can stay disbanded. We don't care after that. So I did that for a while. Then moved to L.A. in '78.
Did you ever get any response from the Beatles? Did they talk with you?
I got to meet some of the people that were involved with the Beatles, and it was cool. It was a really cool thing. But I got into filmmaking at that point. That's when I decided to. I started acting. I did an acting thing with Charlene Tilton and Ray Walston. This was my first movie where I acted, and I suck at acting. So I decided to become a screenwriter, and I found out how to write screenplays from one of the neatest ladies that are in town, that's in town here, Daylene Young. And then I decided I want to be a producer, then a director, and all this kind of thing. I found my niche was editing. That was my niche. That's where I really enjoyed doing it, because it was after all the elements are put together, you bring it to me, and I'll put together the film in editing bay. And that's basically how I started. So I've been a film and video editor for 30 years.
Wow. Well, yeah, a lot of us realize that we're a lot better off behind the camera than in front of it.
In my films too, I've actually put myself in some of my movies. UFO: The Greatest Story Ever Denied. I've done the Hitchcock thing.
Yeah.
It's just to look, and I don't tell people where to look, but I'm in there.
Yeah. I've been in my own too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. Now, you started making films, you found your niche, editing, and then you discovered something that's now called rods. What are rods?
Yes.
How did that happen?
That's what started for me. I've been doing what I've always wanted to do here in LA, editing videos and stuff. But I got my first movie that I was able to do the music score, because I've always wanted to do music scores for films. That was my biggest dream. I mean, editing is cool, but I wanted to be a composer, for movies. Well, I got my big break back in 1990 doing a movie for Jack Chrysler of the Chrysler family. He and his wife and a few others had a film that they had funded called Wolfridge.
Okay.
And it starred Wes Studi. And this was, who Wes Studi is. He's the guy that played Geronimo. And this is before he had done Dances with Wolves, and he did Last of the Mohicans. And this was his first independent film that he was being involved with, and before he did Geronimo. So I finally got to the point where I'm scoring a film and editing it, and here it is, where it's on a Monday morning, and I'm wide awake at 6 a.m. doing notes, because we were going to do layback that morning at a studio called Wood Holly. Layback is we'd have already done all the elements for the music and soundtracks and everything else, and it was taken to Glen Studios, where they were doing the final mix. Then we were going to take it to Wood Holly and add the final fully edited soundtrack, perfectly mixed, surround stereo and all that, lay it back to picture. All right, and our session was at 7 a.m. that morning, but we never made it. You know why?
Why?
Because Northridge earthquake hit.
Ooh.
The Northridge earthquake was one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
That's a game changer.
That totally changed the whole deal. We had a movie premiere in Santa Fe, New Mexico that following Thursday, right, of that week. And we were on a time crunch trying to get this film done. And all the labs were down and everything else. So we wind up getting to Santa Fe finally, to make a long story short. We had the movie premiere, West Studios there, and everyone else. And I said, you know what? I am pretty shell-shocked from this Northridge earthquake. I had lost all my editing equipment, so my brother and I decided to stay in Roswell and visit with my mom and my sister. I hadn't seen them in a few years, so we went to Roswell, and I decided to stay there 2 or 3 months until I regrouped and got more equipment together, insurance, all that kind of stuff. So here I am, a couple of months later. It's March 5th, and I'm sitting there at this editing bay in this computer, and I'm making a TV commercial for one of the local UFO museums. I created a trailer where a UFO flies all right through downtown, comes all the way to the entrance of where the air base used to be. This is where the UFO Enigma Museum is, and it crashes right into the side of the wall, and that's the motif of the building outside. So this is March 5th on a Saturday, 1994, and my brother and sister called me. They're at Midway, I'm in Roswell. They said, Jose, bring the video camera. There's UFOs out here. So I drive down there. I took my time. I thought they were trying to just get me to go over there, and Mom wants me to go eat or something, Because I'm, when I'm in focus on a computer and I'm doing editing, that's all I do. You'll never break me away from there. Nothing will take me away. So I get there, and I'm expecting to see big UFOs and John Williams music and all that. That's not the way they appear, man. I got there with a camera, and my sister, I said, where's these UFOs? She goes, straight up. And sure enough, at 12 o'clock high, there was an object that was kind of dome shaped. It was just hovering there. And I go, oh man, that's a weather balloon. First instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she got all angry at me. She says, no, look at it. So I looked at it, and I wasn't filming at that time. And I go, this object was hovering like this, and then it goes boom, boom, boom. That's what it was. And I go, that's not a weather balloon.
Right.
Clear, broad daylight, it was around 2 in the afternoon. So I started filming at that point. My brother set the camera for me. He says, Jose, let's set up the highest shutter setting so there's no blurring and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I filmed 16 minutes of UFO activity right over Midway, New Mexico.
Wow.
And I didn't know how to film UFOs. I mean, come on, you're not prepared for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what this object did was amazing. It just hovered there. So I only captured 16 minutes. And when the battery ran down on the camcorder, I rushed back to Roswell, put in the EHS in the deck, and I started looking at it frame by frame. Well, what happens within that 16 minutes, there's a lot of UFO activity that is in the fields
Right.
of the video.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And they're going so fast that they're in the fields of video. So what happens is, I'm looking at like 20, 30 UFOs that appear in one field of video.
Wow.
And it's amazing. We
Yeah.
captured close to about 25, maybe 30 objects of the shapes of UFOs that have been reported throughout the world over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that started us filming every day from there on, filming UFOs. The rods did not appear until March 19th.
Okay.
And at first I thought they were insects. I was looking through the viewfinder.
That's
Because my sister said, Jose, the UFOs are back. I'm sorry?
That's what generally the skeptics are saying that they are. Is that you're just filming insects? Is that how do you know that you're not filming insects?
Well, here's the thing. At first I thought they were insects, something close to the lens and everything else. But see, we were shooting at a high shutter setting of 1/2000 at that time. That was the highest setting. And what that means is when you film anything that's going high velocity, like a baseball, you shoot it at the high shutter setting. When you look at it frame by frame, you're going to see a baseball,
Right.
frame by frame.
There's no motion
If you
blur.
shoot it- Yeah, no motion blur whatsoever. If you shoot at auto or normal, which is the instinct that everyone films at, anything you throw in is going to be elongated. Okay? And so I have footage, and I've shown it many times, and that's why I created the sky fishing protocol. Don't shoot using the auto normal setting. Use the high shutter setting. That eliminates insects, birds, and anything else. A bird is a bird, insect is an insect, and a rod is a rod when you shoot at the high shutter setting using my sky fishing protocol.
Right.
Now, what has happened though, Monster Quest did a thing with me in 2007. They came in, they said, we're going to do a thing on the rods and treat you fair. Everybody's saying they're insects. We want to really investigate what you have. I have a ton of evidence, Jay. I mean, I have over 15 years of footage, photographs, and things. And when Monster Quest came in, I thought they were going to do a good job. And they did show everything. They showed the underwater footage of rods. They showed the rod coming out of the ocean. They showed the rods in the shuttle, shuttle footage, zooming into Earth. Huge rods. They showed the tornado footage. But rather than doing the right thing with me, okay, the narrator, and these producers are debunkers. They came in with a concept of nothing but insects. When they showed the underwater footage, they said, this is probably a fish. This is probably a fish. When they showed the rod coming out of the ocean, which is like a mile and a half away from the camera, and it breaks water, and it goes up real fast, but in slow motion, you can see it break water. The narrator said, probably an insect, all right? They didn't delve into it like they should. The shuttle footage, probably debris, and that was the end of that. The tornado footage, probably ball lightning, and that's the way they alluded to it. They promised they would show it, but they underscored it with debunking rather than go in depth with everything. Now, when they did the camera tests, to show that rods are nothing but moths, okay, they lied to the American public, and it really PO'd me, man, because what they did is they didn't consult with me. If I knew they were going to do a camera test like that, I would have said, hey, you're going to do a night shot? That's a bozo no-no. I always told people, don't shoot at night because you're compromising your shutter settings. When you shoot at night, you have to put your camera at the lowest shutter setting, like 150. All right. And what that does, it finally allows a little bit of light, but everything is going to be blurred. No matter what it is, people are going to look like ghosts walking through the scene.
Right.
That's how bad the quality is.
Well,
However,
programs like this, like Monster Quest and others, they pretty much know the ending of the show before they even roll cameras. They've already written the script. They know.
They'd never even let me see the script. Otherwise, I would have raised a lot of Cain and made them do it my way. So if they would have been honest about everything, they would have not only done the night test, but they would have done the daytime test using my sky fishing protocol.
Right.
And then we would have gotten total different results. But because they're a debunking show, they didn't do that. And there's a lot of people out there, Jay, that believe that what Monster Quest did is prove UFOs are insects. Well, they did, because all they shot were moths, but they didn't shoot it the way I told them they should have done it.
Right.
And one of these days, the day's coming, I'm going to get this Tiger Woods footage shot at 5,000 frames per second, where CBS took the shot. His swing is being shown at super high, high speed, super slow motion, and a white rod flies right over his head, faster than the ball.
Wow.
Only thing is, CBS wants to charge me $42,000 for that footage.
Yeah, and the rights to use it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's too expensive. But one of these days, mark my words, and when I do show that, I'm going to go back to History Channel Monster Quest. I'm going to say, all right, guys, you go owe me and the public a total apology for lying to us.
Right.
So anyway, that's the way it's been with the rods. And I'm doing a rods film finally later this year.
Okay.
But what I'm doing right now primarily is the Battle of Los Angeles. And that's basically what's the biggest thing that I'm doing at this moment.
We're going to get to the Battle of Los Angeles in just a minute. Now, that's your new film that you're working on now, and it's going to come out in May, right?
Yes, but I have some pretty good news. I can't really say too much about it because it's not written in stone. But there may be a chance True TV or Sci-Fi might pick up my film to premiere it.
Fantastic.
We're in talks, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so after Rods, what film did you produce after that?
Well, I've done 3 Rods films. One was Mysterious Objects Among Us. Another one was Rods, the Smoking Gun Evidence. Third one was just simply called Rods.
Right.
And the fourth one I'm doing is Roswell Rods, the Jose Escamilla story. And then I'm going to come out with it later this year when I have a budget.
Right.
And I did UFO, the Greatest Story Ever Denied.
Oh, yes. One of the best, if not the best, documentaries out there. That is on par. I mean, that's right up there. Great documentary.
Oh, thank you. I really worked hard on that one. Started working on that one in 2001 and finished it in 2006. Zero budget. You know how it is. And I just finished the remake of it this after.
How do you get money for your films? How do you market them and budget for them, and how do you get money for them?
Well, a lot of them are out of pocket. I build websites for a living, and I do editing for other companies and individuals. A lot of the ways I've done it is sell movie credits. Okay.
Now that is that someone can buy their name in the credits?
Yes. They can become an executive producer, a co-producer, or a producer, and they have their movie credits right there. Their name is up there. Associate producer credit, and a ton of special thanks credits. In my first film, in UFO, The Greatest Story Ever Denied, Part 1, I had like tons of people that bought $50 special thank credits. And, anybody can afford $50. So that's the way I've been doing it. It's called guerrilla filmmaking. You just do with what you've got.
Right.
When I did Moon Rising, I had a legitimate investor that came in, and thank God he showed up because he got me the computer system that I've always needed to where whatever I do now on this system, it goes right to 35 millimeter film. It'll go right on a theater screen.
Wow.
Before, I had this super slow G4 that was like 733 megahertz, processing power, which was okay back in the day, but boy, to make movies, you need power. You need a machine that you can deliver.
Yeah. And you do all of it yourself. Special effects, editing, shooting, you do it all. You don't have a crew that works with you.
No, I can't afford to hire people. I have some special effects guys that I'm negotiating with right now to do some of the effects that I'm doing in After Effects and take them the next step and make them more realistic by doing, adding their magic to it. And I'm trying to get people to work pro bono with me. Eventually, they'll get paid once I get budget, once I sell this movie.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, I do it all. I do everything.
And then came Moon Rising. That was another documentary of yours. How did you get involved with that film?
Well, when I did the first film, UFO Part 1, I did, I opened with the Battle of Los Angeles because I actually found the footage, the original footage. And that movie was basically about, how the myth was created by our military and the Pentagon, the White House, and all that. And in that film, I had a segment about NASA, the NASA UFOs and the strange anomalies on the moon. Well, when I didn't really pay that much attention about the moon in those days because, I'm like everybody else. I thought that NASA landed there and they were being honest with us. I thought just like everyone else thinks, hey, we went to the moon. Well, when I did the segment on the first film, I start seeing things and I go, holy moly, man, there's something going on here. The next movie I do is going to be totally about the moon because I want to find out more about this. And sure enough, I finally got the film done in 2009, and I dug deep. I looked for all the photographs that had been tampered with. I got Carrie Martinek out of Canada, who's one of the biggest NASA historians and researchers that brought out a lot of stuff I'd never even heard about, And so, it was amazing that all this stuff has been going on with NASA all these years, and they basically lied to us. They lied to us about everything, And when I did Moon Rising, I at first wanted to do a poster for the film. So I got some of these black and white photos, and I took some earth tones and colors and things, and I airbrushed them, using earth tones. And that was cool. But then I found a website that has the full color of the moon, the natural color of the moon, uploaded there. And guess what? It was not a NASA website. It was a U.S. Geological Survey website.
Okay, all right.
So the true natural color photography of the moon is not on a NASA website. It's at the USGS. Who would have known?
Right.
And
who would have looked there? Yeah.
One of the things I found out when doing UFO Parts 1 and 2, Moon Rising, is that the way they do it, the way they keep things from the people, is they say, we've never hidden anything. And they tell the truth. They're not hiding it. They're just not telling you where to look. You understand?
Right.
So that's the way to do it. They're not lying, and they're not hiding it. They're just not telling you where it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like hiding it in plain sight, the Where's Waldo. If you can find it, there it is, but we're not going to tell you where to look.
Exactly, and that's where a lot of people don't get it, that it's like, oh, how could NASA hide this? Well, they've never hidden anything. They just never told us where it's at. I just happened to crack the egg a little bit, and I found out USGS. And the reason I got there was because I wanted to get I have a 3D program, and I wanted to make a rotating moon.
Right.
Okay. I had the map of the moon, and I said, where can I get a full color map of the moon? And this one special effects guy said, well, here's the one we use all the time. It's called Map a Planet. And what that is, it's a USGS website that has maps, image maps, to put around spheres.
Right.
That's how I came across this website. Had I not been, searching for a way to get a good color shot of the moon or a good moon shot, I would have never found this.
Wow, amazing! And those color pictures are amazing. That we think of the moon as just being gray and just a wasteland of gray dirt, but there's a lot of color on the moon. A lot of
amazing.
detail.
It's like it looks. The colors on the moon's surface are just totally, literally out of this world.
Now you also did another film called Interstellar, and this was. Yeah. It's like telescopic shots of outer space, and there is images that appear to be ships out there. Tell me about that film.
Yeah, Interstellar was come to my attention in 2007. A guy named John Leonard Walson contacted me and wanted me to produce a film on his stuff. And he was what he's doing is he said, I developed a apparatus you can put on a Meade telescope that allows you to see these starships. And these starships are orbiting around Earth posing as stars
Okay.
and parts of constellations. Some of them real close in what we call inner space areas. Some of them are in light years away, and these things are huge. So he sent me the footage, and I was totally blown away. All right.
Right.
I tried to figure out how he could be faking this stuff, because that's the first instinct. You go, well, okay, there's something to this, right? I couldn't figure it out. So I said, all right, you know what I'm going to do? Let's sign an agreement. I'll produce a film on it, and you just provide me with all your stuff, and I'll get the best shots, and we'll put it together. Did you see the film yourself?
Yes, I have. I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming out with a part 2 addendum to it with more stuff, because at first I said, all right, well, this guy's a mysterious person anyway. He's claiming that the NSA's messing with him, the CIA and agents are chasing him. It's like a James Bond type thing.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know. At first I thought he was just being, crazy or a nutcase. But there were a few things that I kind of took, I said, all right, I'm going to have to figure out what's going on here, because maybe this guy's an agent, an agent provocateur, messing with my head, wanting me to go out on the limb and say this, that, and the other, and then he's just going to say, it's all fake, and Escamilla is a fake, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I did a few research inquiries and things, and it turns out that there was another guy on space.com that was catching the same kind of objects, but in different sectors of the, of space, with a telescope, similar objects, all right? And this guy was not the same character, it was a different person.
Right.
I contacted that guy, he sent me some things, and then I contacted a few others, some astronomers that said, look, we've seen these objects, we think that they're man-made satellites.
Okay.
And I go, that's fantastic, that's great, but how in the world did we get these up there?
Right.
I mean, it's taken like 10 years to build the International Space Station, and here we have like 50 or 60 objects that are orbiting in perfect sync, with the constellations that are huge.
Right.
And possibly inhabited by people. When did we build those, and how in the heck did we get them up there?
So you're convinced that it is authentic. It is they are actually out there, and his machine does photograph these things.
Yeah, his apparatus that he built for his telescope. But then again, I have another guy, like I said, that's in New Jersey that was catching the same stuff, but using his telescope, and had no apparatus. He was just catching with his telescope. So the apparatus thing is what it is. It's either real. Maybe this guy wants to lead us on that you can't do it with a regular telescope. Just, try to be the only guy. But I have now, since then, over the last 2 years, we have photographs taken by the space station and the shuttle of these same type of objects orbiting Earth. All right? So now comes the question is, okay, we now have proof that some of these objects that Leonard and this other guy are photographing and videotaping are actually real. And they don't appear to be man-made. Don't appear to be man-made. So I'm doing an addendum to Interstellar, and later in the year, I'm just committed to do Battle of Los Angeles.
Right.
But yeah, this is that's a very interesting
situation going on with that film.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So along about this time, you created TBLN Films, or at least I remember finding a website about this time. So I don't know how long you had it, but tell me about TBLNFilms.com.
TBLN, the parent company of TBLN Film. TBLN is the Borderlands Network. I've always wanted to have the very first all paranormal network. I started working on that in 2001. And I contacted DirecTV, I contacted Dish Network, and asked them, hey, how much would it cost me to rent my own satellite from you guys, where I can have 24-hour programming, much like CNN, but this is going to be the all paranormal network. We'll have 24-hour news about UFO reports and sightings, and we'll have all the paranormal movies that you will not see on any other network because they don't make it.
Right.
So the movies that we're going to have, you won't see on Sci-Fi Channel because they're too sophisticated for them. Our channel will have the movies that you want to see, but they're not available anywhere else.
How's that going? How's that coming along now?
I have great news about that.
Okay.
And this, I mean, we launched. Well, let me tell you what happened. DirecTV said, "Well, to rent a channel from us, it's going to cost you $5 million a year."
Mm-hmm.
Dish Network was practically the same thing, and you have to show us that you have the ability to pay $5 million a year for the next 5 years.
Right.
So I would have had to show them a bank statement that says, "Hey, I got $25 million that says that I can pay you guys for the next 5 years and put me on the air now. Give me a channel already."
Right.
But that didn't happen. All right, it cost me $11,500. I hired an attorney in Beverly Hills to put together a private offering
Mm-hmm.
to sell, shares into TBLN, the Borderlands Network. I sold none.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was trying to raise $50 million. It just did not happen. So it expired, and I go, man, it was an effort, spent a lot of money for nothing. But in 2007, we finally launched TBLN online.
Right.
Okay. I had 280 movies that we put on TBLN. At that year, Interstellar had barely come out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the biggest selling movie on our channel. I had David Sarita's movie. I had quite a few films.
Right.
But the problem I had then was internet online streaming was fairly new and very costly. I was paying like, $500 a month just to stay online.
Right.
Keep this done. I wanted all my producers to have their own thing. But anyway, make a long story short, TBLN is finally going to be launched using Roku, ROKU.
Fantastic.
Which is the latest thing. It's a little box, sort of like Apple TV.
I have one.
But you have a Roku?
Oh, yeah.
I'm be there. I'm doing it.
When are you doing it, and how are you doing it?
TBLN is going to be there, and I'm getting all the producers back together, 280 movies, and it'll be the All Paranormal Network, man.
Yeah.
I will
Conundrums.
have all the films.
Conundrums is available on Roku.
You can be on there, and here's the way it's working.
Okay.
What we had to do back in 2007 is we had to charge our producers a little fee so that we could stay online, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now, this time, you can have 100% return on all your products on your PayPal. We're making our money and making ends meet by building our own subscriber base.
Right.
So what we're asking you can have your own show there. It's like having your own TV show on this network on the box. You know what Roku is.
Mm-hmm.
And TBLN, it's going to be TBLN Films channel or the TBLN network, the All Paranormal Network, whatever. I'm working it out right now with Roku. But what happens is you can be on there and have your own channel.
Right.
And you your 100% profits, man. We're not taking a dime from you. All we want you to do is sign up with us for a year to provide content.
Right. Well, we're on Blip TV, and we're on the Cinemi channel on Roku, and I think we're also in MediaFly. I would probably be very interested in putting Conundrums on that channel as well.
Absolutely, and you know what? You can't miss, because Roku has their own. They got like what 10 million, 12 million people already signed up.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And they carry Netflix, they carry Hulu, they carry Amazon. Yeah. So you've got all of these other things as well as your channels to watch too. And those little channels, there's a lot of interesting things in there.
There's some good stuff, So, and I'll know in about 4 to 6 weeks. I will know if we've been accepted. And absolutely, I would love to have you on there.
All right.
As a provider.
Well, we'll definitely talk about that, because we want to grow Conundrums, and any opportunities to put it on another Roku channel is a great opportunity. Okay, so let's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and we have the niche. I have close to 80,000 subscribers already that are willing to come on and join us. So 4 to 6 weeks, we'll get back together on this.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Fantastic. That I'm really excited about that. Okay, so now Moon Rising has come out. You actually did 2 of those, didn't you? Moon Rising.
I did Moon Rising. I went ahead and put out a film called Moon Views, which was all the airbrushing that I did on like 247 photos. Man, it took a long time. But had I known that I had full color photography of the new moon as it really is, I wouldn't have airbrushed all those photos,
Right.
But this was before I did find out about the USGS website. And then I did another film called Luna.
Yeah, tell me about Luna.
Luna features a lot of the full color photography that I wasn't able to put in Moon Rising.
Mm-hmm.
See, when I did Moon Rising, I had a premiere coming up, and I was at crunch time, and I didn't have time to really go through all the photos that I had downloaded from the USGS website. And thank God I downloaded close to 600 to 800 photos, full high res, because now when you go to the USGS website and you try to download full color photography and zoom in,
Right.
like I did, the contrast is off, man. They've messed with it. All right. You can't get full color, real good color. It's all blasted, man. It's pixelated. It's really messed up. But Luna is about the full color photography, and there's some real incredible stuff in there. It's like I said, it's footage I wasn't able to put in Moon Rising, and it rocks.
Now, was Luna your last film before the Battle of Los Angeles?
Yes, Luna was the last one. I was starting to work on UFO: The Greatest Story of a Denied Part 3, called The Human Record. And I started doing that last year, which is going to be the final trilogy of the films. But I found out last year that Sony was coming out with a movie called Battle: Los Angeles, $100 million film. And Asylum Films is coming out with a B picture called Battle of Los Angeles, which is a ripoff of Battle: Los Angeles.
Right.
Yeah. But they weren't doing the film about the Battle of Los Angeles. So I said, you know what? I've been harping that I'm going to do this film since 2003, whatever, 2001. Screw it, man. I'm going to do the Battle of Los Angeles documentary. It needs to be done just to set the record straight so it doesn't become another sci-fi under-the-rug thing, all right?
Yeah.
Because of these big films. So that's why I started doing the Battle of Los Angeles, and I'm telling the story as it really happened,
Did
for
you,
the record.
now that we're on Battle of Los Angeles, I've seen some of the footage, and we're going to show some of that. Did you hire actors to reenact the battle?
Well, here's what it is. Everyone's always wondered, well, what it's all about? What is the battle about? It's not just about that LA Times photo that shows the searchlights and it was shot at and that's where it ended. There's a whole backstory. There's a whole story about it. I mean, you have to imagine this was right after Pearl Harbor.
It was like 12 days, wasn't it? 12 days after?
No, 11 weeks after
11
Pearl
weeks.
Harbor.
Okay.
Radar was the newest technology, and here we get an invader that comes in. Invaders, there were like 200 UFOs that followed this big mothership. All right. And it was the first time that we fired upon an object we could not bring down. And that next morning, all the newspapers were on it. I mean, here are the LA Times photographs, this UFO. They can't bring it down. It lasts 3 hours. This whole event lasted 3 hours. They interviewed everybody. Thousands of interviews, man. All the newspapers were there. Here the Pentagon and the White House and the Navy are saying, it was nothing but war nerves. It was a weather balloon. That was the first time, by the way, that the weather balloon excuse was used.
Right.
Weather balloon in 48 was 5 years later. This is, 5 years later. This is the first time they used the weather balloon thing. They also said, it was just a blimp. One of these barrage blimps that we use, to practice on. Come on, man. They shot like 14,000 rounds of 12-pound anti-aircraft shrapnel. Shrapnel tears the heck out of an airplane. Imagine a balloon.
Exactly.
And they're telling the Army you couldn't bring it down.
And this story is probably the first time that they realized that they could just give you an answer and it would go away. And this taught the military something. Hey, we can just give them an answer, it'll go away, and we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, and you know why?
Why?
They knew that the public at that time was already so shocked. It's like 9/11. 9/11, when that happened, everyone was so shocked for the next 4 or 5 years. Bush was telling them it was, Bin Laden. Oh no, it was Osama. It was Saddam Hussein. It was the French president that did it. I mean, he could tell everybody anything. They believed it. Because they were shell shocked. Well, we had just been shell shocked at that time by Pearl Harbor. That was the most horrific thing that could have ever happened to Americans.
And probably people wanted to believe the simplest thing. That way they didn't have to worry. Oh, there was nothing to it. If you come out and say
Yes.
it was the Japanese or it's Martians invading, then you scare the public.
Yeah, and if they would have said, hey, we fired upon this object, this UFO, and these hundreds of UFOs, we could not bring them down with our artillery, what's the public going to think? Another invasion, but this time it's aliens. So they decided to just sweep it under the rug. They got the media to turn it around and not even talk about it anymore. The only thing they talked about was World War II, the Japanese. And that was it. That was the mindset. And there for the next 60 years, it was never heard of again until the Freedom of Information Act in 71, when somebody found the General George C. Marshall memorandum that was given to sent to the president, where he stated these were non-conventional aircraft, probably of interplanetary origin. There were 3 that were brought down, one in San Clemente Island, one on Vermont Street over here in LA, and another one over in San Angeles Forest. The Army Corps has taken it, and they were taken to Area 51, which at that time was not known as Area 51.
And this is all covered in your movie, The Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and some.
Wow.
I mean, I have policemen that were in Beverly Hills. That one policeman, he says they came in dark clouds. Sort of like Independence Day. You know how Independence Day, the UFO, there's a big cloud and it's fiery, and out emerges this huge mothership.
Well, they say they ionize the air around them, and that would look like a cloud.
Yeah, well, this policeman who was in Beverly Hills watched the huge orange object, and then these other UFOs that were coming out, and they said they were coming out of dark clouds.
Wow. Okay, let's cut away for just a second because I want to run the new promo you have for the Battle of Los Angeles. We're going to watch that, and then we'll come right back. The new promo for the Battle of Los Angeles, a new movie from Jose Escamilla. It's coming out, and you said the release date is going to be now in May. It's not going to be on the anniversary, right?
No, I was planning to do it February 25th on the 69-year anniversary, but having a reenactment over here in San Pedro, and our cameras are going to be there to catch this. This is going to be part of the film. I have a gentleman, Jeff Peckman, who brought out Stan Romanek's alien footage. You know who Stan Romanek is?
Yes.
Jeff Peckman, they want to do a movie premiere in Denver, a world premiere of the film. And so I've decided to release it in May. It's during the Cinco de Mayo celebration there in Denver. Now, when that happens, I'm going to simulcast it on YouTube. You can simulcast it on your channel if you want to, just on that day only. Whatever day it is that we decide to do the world premiere, people will be able to see the movie for free, all right, online, on YouTube and on my other channels. And that's where we stand at this moment. However...
So this would be a live feed on YouTube. It's not like a video they could play back over and over. It would just come on and then go off, right?
Live feed, yeah. It's not going to be able where you can download it. It'll be a live feed, one time only. View it one time and that's it, you know. However, if I get a deal with Sci-Fi Channel or True TV,
yes,
that may certainly change drastically.
Sure.
You know, because they're going to premiere it on their channel, and everybody will be able to see it for free at that time. But a lot of things happening with this movie, and you know, Jay, this is my biggest project. I mean, I've done quite a few. I've got like about 12 movies that I've done, you know, recently. But this film has to be perfect. It's got to be presented. It's got to be first class all the way, you know. Right. And it's a very important event, true story, and the people that are in it were all documented. I mean, this is all documented. Scotty Littleton, who I really wanted to interview, unfortunately passed away November 25th of last year.
Hmm.
And I'm dedicating this film to him. He was the most outspoken person of the battle. He was 8 years old when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm dedicating the movie to him. And I'm still going to have him in the film. There's only 3 other people left. Can you imagine? Out of over 1 million people, there's only 3 people left that are willing to talk about this. And hopefully I'll be able to get them before they pass on.
Have you had anyone official from the military or that was in the military at the time to confirm what they did, the shooting at it and all?
Everyone has passed on.
Yeah.
That were involved in the military, except for 3 people. There's 3 people that were in the Army
Okay.
at that time. One was at the battalion over at Fort MacArthur. One was here in Santa Monica. And another guy was an Army guy that was looking at these things with binoculars at the CBS building.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only ones that are left, that are living. So I intend to get them on camera. It's going to be really cool. I mean, I had some of the quotes. The newspaper articles is what's amazing, is because the reporters in those days, they were on top of it. They were not like our media right now that are, everything is canned. You say this, you ask this, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
No, man. In those days, the media and the press, they were checking the brass, man.
Mm-hmm.
They did not put up any BS. They actually asked probing questions.
Right.
And the editors, of course, would change it from discs to planes. But whatever, the bottom line is I have all the interviews that were made of all military people in those eras at that time,
Mm-hmm.
all the witnesses. I have it all, and that's what this film is going to portray. And it's just going to be an awesome movie, man.
How much has it cost you so far to put a movie like this together?
My films cost about, depending on the subject matter, this film's going to cost me close to $350,000 to make.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. UFO, the greatest story ever denied. That cost me $280,000.
Mm-hmm.
Moon Rising, that one cost me $320,000.
Right.
This film, I have a tag on it for about $350,000 because there's certain things that I need to get done, and that's just what it's going to cost. However, because I can do it all, I can, defray the cost. Mm-hmm. But I still need camera people. I need a crew. I need certain footage that I want to license.
Exactly.
Music. I got to pay for the music. It ain't free.
It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap making a film, is it?
It ain't cheap. But I'll tell you what. If I have to cut the corners and do the whole movie by myself, I will do that. I've done it before. Mm-hmm. I do it all the time. So that's why I sell movie credits. And you can go to thebattleofla.com.
Mm-hmm.
And God bless you people that submit and buy a movie credit, man. I don't care if I have 1,000 $50 movie credits. I'll put you on.
Mm-hmm.
It may be the longest end credits in history. I don't care.
Wasn't there a film, Paranormal Activity, or one of the paranormal films recently? They did something similar to that because the credits at the end of it listed like all the fans or everyone that had posted into it.
Yeah, it's a trend.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
It's a great way to market a film. It's a great way to get the money, to do it.
It's called guerrilla filmmaking. And what a great way to be a part of a film. This movie, The Battle of Los Angeles, I guarantee you it's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm the only one doing the actual movie of what really happened.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any, take us behind the scenes, do you have any funny stories, something that occurred while you were shooting the movie?
God. Plenty of funny stories.
Yeah. Pick one.
Well, I'm sitting here. I have a ghost here, I have a poltergeist or something here.
In your house?
Yeah, there's an attic up here. I'm sitting here working. I have weird hours. The time that I work on my movies is like from 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. all the way to 5 or 6 or 7 in the morning.
Right.
And I go to bed, and I wake up about 11, 12, noon.
Mm-hmm.
Weird hours, like when I was doing rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Well, I'm sitting here, and I don't even know if this is funny. It's probably kind of creepy, but I'm sitting here and I'm working on one of the scenes in 3D software that I have, and I hear this. on the ceiling here. There's an attic up here.
Hmm.
Dr. Roger Lear was here one day. It was on an afternoon. I'm working on his promo. And we're sitting here minding our own business, and we hear that. Now, you know the difference between somebody pounding on the wall or, that kind of thing, or the tree branches hitting the wall. These were solid foot stomps, man, like somebody was stomping upstairs.
Wow.
Of course, there's nobody upstairs. So this one night, I'm over here working, and I usually don't get scared because I've seen a lot of things pretty bizarre. This time around, there was a stomping, and that door over there, I don't know if you can see that door right there.
Yeah, we can see it.
That door freaking slammed shut.
Wow.
Scared the crap out of me. It's like somebody just went whack, slammed the door. And it startled me because I'm over here, like where I'm facing you, I'm over here working on this computer. And the door slams shut. Now, this is about 4 a.m. It's totally quiet outside. There's no eerie wind or full moon.
You're all by yourself.
I usually don't get scared, but I'm by myself here, And suddenly, I feel, okay, something's going on here. I know there's no reason for that door to slam like that.
Yeah. So
And,
you have a poltergeist. Have you named it?
scary.
Have you given it a name?
up.
I'm sorry, have you given it a name?
No, I'm afraid to. I'm afraid to. I don't want to wake up some morning and somebody's stomping on me, man.
Do you think you'll ever do a film on ghosts or Sasquatch or some other subject other than rods and UFOs?
Yes.
Yes?
I plan to. I want to do, once I finish the Battle of Los Angeles, and once I finish UFO The Great Story of the Night Part 3, The Human Record, I'm going to get away from UFOs and the moon and stuff, and I'm going to do a ghost film.
Oh, wow.
I've got a case that occurred in London. It's one of the most famous things. There was actually scientists that went into this haunted house. It's called the Skulls Project. And the ghosts told them how to photograph them, how to record them on audio. It's an incredible story. And I've been in contact with the people that were the professors at that time at the university. It's a heck of a ghost story, man, and it's real.
Are you going to shoot it in London?
Yeah. I'll go to London and shoot it.
Fantastic. Okay.
So, it's a real important case, yeah.
The Battle of Los Angeles, it's coming out in May. And what's the date again for the release of it?
At this point in time, it's tentative May. It's during the Cinco de Mayo celebration in Denver, but it's tentative about May 6th, 7th, or 8th. We don't have a solid date yet.
Okay.
But it'll be around that time.
Now that cool UFO cap you're wearing, do you also sell merchandise on TBLNFilms.com?
Yes, sir. And everyone that buys a movie credit on my film, they get the official The Battle of Los Angeles hat. Special thank you credits, I think they just get a DVD before it's ever released. But associate producer credits, I got T-shirts, I got posters. The incentive for me is to give whoever joins my team, whoever joins my family of filmmakers, to do the Battle of Los Angeles or any of my other films, they get the treatment. I mean, I have a movie premiere, I'll fly you there to be there. If you're one of the producers, executive producers, you'll be there. I mean, the red carpet treatment, the whole thing. This is our movie. So right now I only have 2 movie credits sold for special thanks for the Battle of Los Angeles. I need more people.
Well, we'll put the link up there. We'll put the link up. We'll try to get you as many people as possible.
Yeah, be great.
Now, if someone wants to buy one of your documentaries, where do they go?
TBLNFilms.com. And that is T as in Tom, B as in Bob, L as in Larry, N as in Nancy, films.com. It stands for the Borderlands Network, TBLNFilms.com.
Fantastic. Jose, we're running out of time, but I want to thank you for being my guest on Conundrums, and we'll definitely get back in touch with you about that slot on Roku.
Yeah, that's going to happen. that's happening. It's in the works.
Just
So
keep us posted on that. And if you'd like to pick up on one of Jose's excellent documentaries, every one of them a fine piece of work, go to tblnfilms.com. And do you autograph if someone buys something directly from you?
I will do whatever it takes to raise the funds that I need to make this film.
So you can even have an autographed copy right there.
Absolutely. I'll do everything you want me to do within reason. But I will do anything you want me to do.
Jose, we're probably going to have you back on after the release of the Battle of Los Angeles, and we'll talk again about more of the things that you've done, but also the premiere and how all that went, because I know I'm looking forward. Yes.
One more thing.
Yes.
In 2008, I wrote a screenplay called The Battle of Los Angeles, which was going to be like a feature film, drama, action, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having it adapted into a novel. This is going to be my first book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a tearjerker, okay?
Okay.
It'll make you cry. But it was going to be a dramatic film. That's not going to happen anymore, but I'm coming out with a novel called The Battle of Los Angeles, or the working title may be What Katie Saw. Katie, Katie, was a lady that the UFO hovered right above her house.
Wow.
And it's basically based around her, and it's a really neat story. So that's coming up too.
One more thing to look forward to. And again, I can't wait for the premiere of the Battle of Los Angeles. We're going to scatter throughout the program some of the special effects that you've done for this movie, because I know what it takes to do special effects. You can spend an entire hour on 4 seconds, an entire day on 4 or 5 seconds. And they are top notch, fantastic special effects for it. Not only that, you're getting good information, you're getting the great story, a true story of what happened back then in Los Angeles. Jose, we're going to see you again, hopefully in a couple of months, okay? You take care.
Sooner than that. Let's go, Jay.
All right.
As soon as I get news, too, I'm going to contact you personally and fill you in on what's happening with next week we're going to find out with Sci-Fi Channel and True TV. So looking forward to it, man. It's going to be good.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Conundrums on Facebook. Be sure to join us. Bookmark the website. And also check out TBLNfilms.com. Jose Escamilla. He's got a lot of great things, a lot of great documentaries there, and his new films coming up. We'll see you next time on Conundrums.
We later changed the group to the Ye-Court Jesters. And I was 14 years old at that time. This was shortly after my father passed away. I started, the only thing I could do to help the family was playing a rock and roll band, which I loved, And it was cool. And I grew up with all the kids, man, that their parents and grandparents were involved in the Roswell UFO crash. We used to go out to the two sites where there was two crashes, actually. Mm-hmm. There was one that's not really been publicized that much, over at Pine Lodge. But there was a lot of activity back in those days too.
How did you get interested in doing videos? How did you get interested in making documentaries?
Well, my dad was, when I was a real young kid, when I was like 5 and 6, up until I was about 12 or 13, my dad and my mom, we have a ranch out there at Midway, which is 9 miles south of Roswell. Mm-hmm. And we used to have an outdoor movie theater. Okay. An outdoor walk-in theater where all the ranchers would come in and they'd sit on these benches. It was like a Cinema Paradiso. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw that film, but my dad used to rent films from Black Hawk Films, and we'd have movies and popcorn, the whole thing. And I was always interested in celluloid, making movies and things. My dad showed me how to shoot a commercial. I was like about 12, And I've always been interested in making films, but I took a real detour when the Beatles came out, and I did rock and roll, and that was it, because I could pick up chicks that way.
Yeah.
That was the thing, and I had my little groupies there in the 8th grade. You know, the Rhythm Masters was my first band. But that's what the way it started. I've always wanted to make films. It's just that like I said, I detracted and went into rock and roll for quite a few years. And in 1977, I moved here to San Diego, and I was working as a night chef at Torrey Pines Inn. And I used to hang out at the university there in San Diego, across the street from Torrey Pines. I lived in Del Mar for a few years. And I'd go in and play the piano in some of the practice rooms for free. And I wrote a couple of songs. I was going to try to reunite the Beatles through a fan, writing songs for the Beatles to reunite. It was called "I'm Asking You to Play Once More for Me." And it was to get the Beatles to, hey, we are your fans. We're asking you to play one more time for us. Then you can stay disbanded. We don't care after that. So I did that for a while. Then moved to L.A. in '78.
Did you ever get any response from the Beatles? Did they talk with you?
I got to meet some of the people that were involved with the Beatles, and it was cool. It was a really cool thing. But I got into filmmaking at that point. That's when I decided to. I started acting. I did an acting thing with Charlene Tilton and Ray Walston. This was my first movie where I acted, and I suck at acting. So I decided to become a screenwriter, and I found out how to write screenplays from one of the neatest ladies that are in town. That's in town here, Daylene Young. And then I decided I want to be a producer, then a director, and all this kind of thing. I found my niche was editing. That was my niche. That's where I really enjoyed doing it, because it was after all the elements are put together, you bring it to me, and I'll put together the film in editing bay. And that's basically how I started. So I've been a film and video editor for 30 years. Wow.
Well, yeah, a lot of us realize that we're a lot better off behind the camera than in front of it.
In my films too, I've actually put myself in some of my movies. UFO: The Greatest Story Ever Denied. I've done the Hitchcock thing.
Yeah.
It's just where to look, and I don't tell people where to look, but I'm in there.
Yeah. I've been in my own too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk about that. Now, you started making films. You found your niche, editing, and then you discovered something that's now called rods. What are rods?
Yes.
How did that happen?
That's what started for me. I've been doing what I've always wanted to do here in LA, editing videos and stuff. But I got my first movie that I was able to do the music score, because I've always wanted to do music scores for films. That was my biggest dream. I mean, editing is cool, but I wanted to be a composer, for movies. Well, I got my big break back in 1990 doing a movie for Jack Chrysler of the Chrysler family. He and his wife and a few others had a film that they had funded called Wolfridge.
Okay.
And it starred Wes Studi. And this, who Wes Studi is. He's the guy that played Geronimo. And this is before he had done Dances with Wolves, and he did Last of the Mohicans. And this was his first independent film that he was being involved with, and before he did Geronimo. So I finally got to the point where I'm scoring a film and editing it, and here it is where it's on a Monday morning, and I'm wide awake at 6 a.m. doing notes, because we were going to do layback that morning at a studio called Wood Holly. Layback is we'd have already done all the elements for the music and soundtracks and everything else, and it was taken to Glen Studios where they were doing the final mix. Then we were going to take it to Wood Holly and add the final fully edited soundtrack, perfectly mixed, surround stereo and all that, lay it back to picture. All right, and our session was at 7 a.m. that morning, but we never made it. You know why?
Why?
Because Northridge earthquake hit.
Ooh.
The Northridge earthquake was one of the worst experiences I've ever had.
That's a game changer.
That totally changed the whole deal. We had a movie premiere in Santa Fe, New Mexico that following Thursday, right, of that week. And we were on a time crunch trying to get this film done. And all the labs were down and everything else. So we wind up getting to Santa Fe finally, to make a long story short. We had the movie premiere. West Studios there, and everyone else. And I said, you know what? I am pretty shell shocked from this Northridge earthquake. I have lost all my editing equipment, so my brother and I decided to stay in Roswell and visit with my mom and my sister. I hadn't seen them in a few years, so we went to Roswell, and I decided to stay there 2 or 3 months until I regrouped and got more equipment together, insurance, that kind of stuff. So here I am, a couple of months later. It's March 5th, and I'm sitting there at this editing bay in this computer, and I'm making a TV commercial for one of the local UFO museums. I created a trailer where a UFO flies all right through downtown, comes all the way to the entrance of where the air base used to be. This is where the UFO Enigma Museum is, and it crashes right into the side of the wall, and that's the motif.
This week on Conundrums, we'll be talking with Jose Escamilla. He's the producer of multiple UFO documentaries, including a new production that's coming out this spring called The Battle of Los Angeles. We'll have a sneak peek and never-before-seen scenes from that movie. It should be out in May. Be sure to like us on Facebook, bookmark our website, and join us each week for a new program on Conundrums. Jose Escamilla is up next. We're talking with Jose Escamilla. He's the director, producer of several UFO documentaries, the owner of TBLN Films. Jose is our guest today. Jose, you are coming to us from New Mexico?
No, I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles, okay.
Yeah.
And
Mission.
Did you live in Roswell, or have you lived in Roswell?
Yeah, that was my hometown. Roswell was my hometown. I grew up there.
Okay, tell me about growing up in Roswell.
Yeah, it was great. When I was a kid there, we had UFO sightings there in Roswell and Midway all the time. I mean, there was a lot of activity back in the late 50s, early 60s. And so I had a rock and roll band that I was in. It's called the Jesters,